Welcome everyone to our Christmas in July cooking class. We're super excited to cook with you tonight, and please feel free to ask questions as we go along. So we'll be using the chat for that. Hopefully you can all find that button in your Zoom application. We have a few different consultants ready to cook for you tonight, all out of our festive flavor cookbook, which is our spotlighted book of the month, and it's one of my favorites, so that's awesome as well. The very first thing we're going to do is I'm going to find Penny. Here she is, and Penny's going to start cooking the first dish for us. So I'll just hand you over to her.
Hi everyone. So yes, I'm doing the first dish, and it's out of our festive flavor cookbook, which is actually one of my favorite books. So I'm going to be doing the turkey roulade with apple and sage stuffing. So I'm going to show you a quick video if I can figure out how to do it, because I did the stuffing earlier because it has to be cool when you pop it on the turkey. And Laura, I can't share that video.
And it won't let me make you host, so I will share the video. Okay. And I actually wanted to just say something again, just for everyone on who haven't been to one of our classes before. We're going to be sending you the links to the recipes tomorrow in an email, so don't feel like you have to madly figure out writing down notes and everything. I'll send you the links, and I'll also send you the recording of this, so if you miss anything while we're going along, you'll be able to watch that back in replay as well. Okay, I am going to share that video. So this is Penny making the stuffing. Sorry. Here we go. There we go. Love that.
Ta-da, pretty quick, wasn't it? 17 seconds and I have all this stuffing. So it was about 4.5 minutes from start to finish, but the stuffing has to be cool before you use it. So it is well and truly cool, because I did it about 9 o'clock this morning. So what I'll do is, I bought a packet of turkey steaks, and I prepared 3 out of the 4. So I'll just show you how to prepare one of them. So unfortunately, all my steaks were completely different sizes. So I've belted them all with a meat mallet, which is part of the recipe. And so this is the last one. And you just pop it on. You can't see that, but you pop down some tin foil and some baking paper, and then you get your stuffing, and then you just spread it on top. Now, there's a couple of different stuffings that you can try. This is the one that's in the book, but there's in the tips in the book, there's a cranberry and bacon one, and I actually wish I had have done that, because everyone knows that bacon is life, especially in my house. So you just spread your stuffing over, and then you start rolling the turkey. Nice and tightly, if you can see that. And then roll the baking paper and foil. Tightly, I should be doing it that way. And then just give it a little twist at the end to make it into a nice fat little sausage. So the recipe, I'll just move you a bit closer. See my messy sink behind. Okay, so our next step, I'm partway through this, is to pop it into the varoma. So I'm going to pop 2 in the dish down the bottom. And then I'll pop 2 on our tray. Pop the aroma on. So there's 700 grams of water in here. And it's going to cook for 10 minutes on speed 2. And then after the 10 minutes, we'll swap them around. So the ones in the bottom will go in the top and the ones in the tray will go in the dish. And then they'll cook for another 8 minutes. Once they're finished, they're meant to sit in the fridge for at least half an hour till they're cool before we slice them. So we'll see how we go at the end and we might prepare it then. And that's it.
Sorry, I was on mute. Thank you so much, Penny. That is awesome. We will come back to you to see the end result. I've made this a few times and I do love it. I think it's very impressive and quite a different way to prepare your turkey, which is kind of cool that we're able to show you a new way to do that. I'm going to pass you over to Yolanda now, and she is going to make 2 different things for us actually.
Hello. Welcome everyone. Welcome to our cooking class. We love a festive class and I'm delighted that so many people have jumped on to have a look. I've got some customers that are doing this tonight as their cooking experience, which I think is awesome. And I've got a couple of people that are quite new to Thermomix that are just seeing it probably for the first time today. So welcome and thank you for dialing in to watch. I'm breaking with tradition. I'm actually not cooking from the festive book. Sorry, Laura. But mine is actually from Sweet Nourish. I do love this book and it is a recipe I'm going to make is called Sweet Spice Nuts. It is the flavour of Christmas. You know, they're crispy, crunchy, beautiful mixed nuts with a spiced coating on them. And I make them regularly for snacking. I make them for gifting, but I make them particularly at Christmas to share when we're entertaining. But I love to give them. People really enjoy receiving them too. So it is a Christmassy thing. It's quick to make and I hope that it'll soon be a favourite recipe of yours as well. One other thing I'd like to say is that this recipe is one that can be double batched, and given how good these are, there's no point making a single batch, just double it. They're so delicious and you're going to go more, so you might as well just make a double batch. Okay, so I'll move you across so you can see my Thermomix. Tilt my screen down. Please yell out if you can't hear or can't see. Sometimes getting everything set up just right is a bit of a trick. Okay, so in my Thermomix, hopefully if I tilt that back a bit, you can see the screen. I've got this recipe saved into my weekly planner. So there it is, Sweet Spice Nuts. It's a recipe from Louise Fulton Heats. We just push start cooking and the recipe will guide us right the way through. It asks me to preheat my oven to 140 degrees, which I've done, so we'll go next. Then it's asking me to line a large baking tray. And yes, I'm using a large one because I'm going to double batch. Go next. Insert my butterfly whisk. Here's our butterfly, very easy to pop on, just sits on top of the blade. Like that, just pop it on top. And the next thing, we need to add 1 egg white, but I'm double batching, so I'm adding 2. If you'd like your egg whites to fluff up really well, have a clean bowl. Make sure that there's no fat or oil in there, particularly important if you're making pavlova. And also have your egg whites at room temperature because they will fluff up beautifully. So I put in 2 egg whites. Now we're going to put the measuring cap into the mixing bowl lid. Press next, and we're just going to whip for just a minute on speed 4. So with your butterfly, speed 4 is maximum. When you're doing guided cooking, your Thermomix will always put you at speed 3, 3.5 or 4. Just remember when you're doing your own recipe not to go faster than speed 4. Butterfly is happiest at speed 4. I can hear the whites whipping nicely already. To make the recipe a little bit faster to demonstrate today, I've actually pre-prepared all my spices because there's quite a few things in here. We've got some cinnamon and some smoky paprika, some cumin, a little bit of brown sugar, which gives it a nice caramelised coating, some salt, or a little bit of chili as well. So we'll see those spices when we add them in just a minute. But it is quicker when I'm doing a pasta like today, just to pop it all in here, save you having to watch me measure out a whole bunch of spices, which I'm sure will be fairly boring. Just a note about Louise Fulton-Fitz in this book. Sweet Nourish is all about better for you recipes, and she's actually the granddaughter of Margaret Fulton, so a big history of cooks in that family, and Louise does do some beautiful better for you recipes. All right, next thing my Thermomix asks me for is a quarter of a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, sorry, a half a teaspoon. Then it asks for some allspice, some smoked paprika, some brown sugar, some cumin, some flaked salt. Pop that all in, and of course I've got double the measurements of everything. And then we're going to put our lid back on and just turn to speed 2, just to mix those spices to our egg white. It's only a couple of seconds and it's done. You can see what that looks like. I've got lovely fluffy egg white with spices in between. Now it's asking me for almonds and for cashews. So I've double batched, and I've also used some other nuts. So I really like to use the almonds and the cashews as recommended. I also like to add some walnuts and some pecans because they're some of my favourites and they just work really well with this recipe. So rather than weigh it all out individually, there's my doubled quantities of the nuts. Once again, the lid goes on. And we just have 10 seconds of mixing on speed 1. So the next thing is to take the butterfly out. You can just see it's just beautifully paddled all those nuts through all the spices and the egg white. And then transfer the nuts onto a tray. So I think you'll agree that was pretty jolly quick. And we're going to produce a lovely quantity of spiced nuts that we'll enjoy eating ourselves, but they're really nice for entertaining and for gifting as well. When you put the nuts onto your tray, make sure you pour all of the egg white coating on as well. Scrape it all out with your spatula. I'm using the Flex Core spatula. This one's from the Mix Shop. It's one of my favourites because it really does a nice job of cleaning everything out of the bowl. You can get them in a couple of different colours, but I like the red ones and the green ones, very festive colours. So I'm just going to spread that out into a flat layer on the tray. And the last thing we need to do is just to give it a quick spray with a bit of olive oil cooking spray. That just helps our nuts crunch up just beautifully. So there's our layer of nuts. Bit of a spray. And then these are now going to go into the oven for about 35 to 40 minutes. And we'll come back and have a look at them when they're done. Okay, so one of the wonders of having a second bowl is that you can pop it straight in and go on with the next recipe, which I always find really, really helpful when I'm making lots of dishes in a night or when I'm doing a cooking class like today. So we'll quit out of this recipe. You might notice these 3 dots up the top here. I can cancel the recipe. And I can now move to the next recipe, which I've also got in my weekly planner. There it is, cranberry cheese ball. Once again, I've broken with tradition, and this recipe is not from the festive book. It's not that I don't like the festive, I love the festive, but these are some of the recipes that I like to cook when I'm entertaining and certainly around Christmas time, and I just thought I'd open it up to some different recipes for you. This is a recipe I found on Cookie Do UK site, and I do find there's a lot of really cool stuff there. It was in a collection called The Holiday Feast, and Laura will give you the link. It's called Cranberry and Pecan Cheese Ball. I love it because it looks special, it's easy to do, and it tastes good, and it's good for you. So it's a winner all round, I reckon. Okay, here we go. Nice and quick. So 70 grams of pecan nuts. And then we put the lid on. And up to speed 6, just for 2 seconds. So this is what I love about Thermomix, 2 seconds and we've got lovely chopped pecan nuts. Everything is so quick. So I'm popping that into a bowl and setting it aside, but I just want to get out what I can that's in the bowl, just to have it fairly clean. And now we're going to add just 100 grams of cheddar cheese chopped into cubes. If your cheese is hard, chop it small. And we're going to add some dried cranberries. And some fresh thyme leaves. So thyme's something I like to grow in the garden, and then it's easy to have it on hand when you want it for a recipe. Now we're going to pop the measuring cup into the mixing bowl. And up to speed 6, just for 5 seconds. So 5 seconds at speed 6, and we've got cranberries and our cheese and our thyme all nicely chopped through together. Can you see everything okay, Laura? It's all good?
Yep, all looking great.
Excellent. Okay, next thing. We've got some cream cheese chopped up at room temperature, so it's not, really hard. It's a bit softened. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to transfer this cheese mixture into a piece of cling film, and we're going to use that to mould our shape. So that's how the mix looks. Spatula. I actually haven't made this since last Christmas, so I'm going to enjoy this over the weekend. All right, that's good enough. So I've just popped it in a piece of cling film, gather it all up, and now I'm able to make that into a ball. And that's how we shape our cheese into a nice ball. Just twist it round till you've got the approximate shape that you want. So now we're supposed to pop it in the fridge and chill it for 30 minutes. But just in the interest of saving time, I'm going to pop the nuts into this bowl and just show you how to roll it through the coating. And then we can have it in the fridge chilling with its coating on. It would have been easier to do that in a bigger bowl, but never mind.
Right.
And there is your very delicious cranberry pecan cheese ball. When you slice it open, you'll see the nice cranberries inside. And that's it from there until the nuts are ready, Laura.
Thanks, Yolanda. So we're going to go to, oh, she's gone off my screen. I am going to spotlight Roxy now, who's going to show us one of my absolute favorite dips. I make it all year round, but it's really beautiful at Christmas time as well.
Hi everyone. As Laura said, I'm going to make the beetroot, Parmesan and cashew dip. Super quick, super easy, and a real hit. So it's only takes about 5 minutes. I've saved it in my week using cookie dough just to make it easy to find. So we'll start cooking. 80 grams of Parmesan cheese. You just remove the crust. I've done that already just to make it a bit quicker. 90 grams. Next, add a garlic, and if you like me, I usually double garlic quantity, so I put 2 in there. And what we're going to do now is just grate the Parmesan and chop the garlic together. So this will be a bit loud because the Parmesan up at speed 9. If you've got 2 bowls, this is when it comes in handy, so you can leave your Parmesan just in your one bowl instead of taking it out. And you can see it does a great job of grating that. Okay. There's also another dip that has capsicum and cashews, which is also another favourite of mine. So 150 grams of roasted salted cashews. There might be a few less because they've been sitting out. And we're just going to chop those up. So as Yolanda said, 2 seconds, and it does such a good job. That's all finely chopped in 2 seconds. I'm going to add our baby beetroot. This is something you just keep in the pantry with your Parmesan in the fridge, cashews in the cupboard, and you can really make it any time. So 450 grams, and then a tablespoon of beetroot juice. Just a rough tablespoon. Reserved grated Parmesan and garlic. Give that a chop for 5 seconds. Add a tablespoon of lemon juice. Just do a rough measurement. And then salt and pepper to taste. And if you find that you want more salt or pepper afterwards, you can always add it on top of the bowl. Doesn't really need too much more. Next, and give that a little bit of a stir together. 4 seconds. And that's it. Just serve it straight away. They do suggest you put it in the fridge to chill it, but I usually would just serve a dip straight away. But it can keep, and it does make a fair bit. And what we do is usually just garnish it with some spring onion. And that's it. It's your dip.
Looks delicious. Thanks, Roxy. You're going to have a nice snack tonight. It also makes a lot, so I don't know if you guys noticed.
Well, that's Yeah, that's what we've got. The light's not very good, but there's sort of another 2 bowls left in there.
That's the other great thing, is you can use it for 2 different entertaining occasions.
Yeah.
You too. All right. This is going well. We're seeing different types of dishes. We're going to go back to Penny soon to see how the turkey went. I'm not sure where she's up to that. But at the moment, I'm going to switch to Natalie if she's ready. And Natalie's going to show us a yummy Christmas time dessert. Let's see if she's there.
Hi, I am here. I made it. Hi everyone, I'm Nat. Tonight I'm going to cook or make white Christmas, which is kind of like a, I guess you could call it similar to a rocky road, or, but it's really yummy. I made some this morning before I took the kids to school just to try it out. So I'll get started. So hopefully you can see the Thermomix all right. So I've got this saved under my recently cooked, but I also have it saved in Cookie Do. And what I love about my TM6 is that I've just recently moved to a new house and Telstra still haven't connected my internet. So it's already saved. So anything I've already had saved on my Thermomix, it will come up even if I'm offline. So I'm just going to go on my recently cooked and bring up the white Christmas and go start cooking. So I've already lined the baking tray. There you go. And so I'm going to add in the roasted macadamia and pistachio nuts. And it's going to be a little bit noisy because it's going to break all these up. Now I'm just going to transfer it into a bowl, set that aside. You can see that's all the nuts all crushed up now. Into a bowl. Next, I'm going to put in 50 grams of apricots and 50 grams of cranberries. Or if you don't have cranberries and you have the glazed cherries, which is really popular at Christmas, you can use those as well. Now, this morning when I was doing this, I didn't chop it up so well for 3 seconds, so I'm going to up it to 5 seconds. And then we're going to put that into the bowl with the nuts. Nuts. It's done a pretty good job this time. I don't know if you can see with the light here. That's what it looks like at the moment. And now 500 grams of white chocolate broken into pieces, but I've actually bought these Cadbury melts because they're so yummy. So 500 grams in there. Now it's just going to melt it. So it does, the melting phase happens over 3 different time slots. So we do like 3 minutes. Oh, sorry, we're going to chop it up, and then we do like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and 4 minutes. So just bear with me while I chop this up. Give it a scrape down the sides. What are you going to make? Yummy food. You can have it for tomorrow at recess. Go and watch TV or you go to bed. Yeah, later. Bye-bye. Okay, so this is just going to do 3 minutes. I promised them they could stay up if they didn't bug me. So 3 minutes, it's going to melt the chocolate, and then it gets me to mix it around, and then it does it for another 4 minutes, and then mix it around, and then 4 minutes again. So if anybody else has anything that they need to do while I'm melting the chocolate, I can hand it back over to you, Laura.
Hi, yes, I do have, I've got Alex presenting a dip we can go to, and then we can come back to you. actually, yeah. No, I just got to check back with Penny when the turkey's done too, but let's do this first. This is such a great wintertime dip because it's a baked artichoke dip and it's super impressive. And also part of this is showing you how you can make your own homemade mayonnaise, which is just so cool.
Hello, good morning. So today I'm going to do a really quick little video to celebrate Christmas in July. So I'm wearing my ugly Christmas sweater. And as part of that, I've chosen a recipe from the Cookie Do Festive Flavour Cookbook, which is for baked artichoke dip. But taking it back a step, first we're going to make one of the ingredients for that dip from scratch, which is homemade mayonnaise. So let's go. Place a jug onto the mixing bowl lid, and into the jug weigh 250 grams of grapeseed oil. So this is personal preference, but I'm actually going to do a little bit of garlic infused olive oil first off. I just like the flavour in my mayonnaise. You can obviously do 100% grapeseed, or perhaps another combination that you would prefer. Just watching the scales as it ticks up to 250 grams. We're at 180. Almost. There we go, 248. So set that aside and check my blades on. We've got 1 egg at room temperature. Ooh. We have 1 tablespoon of lemon juice or vinegar. So I prefer vinegar. We've already got garlic flavour. Mustard. Again, this one is to taste, so you can work out exactly what you'd like. I'm going to go with the 2 teaspoons. Put that all in. 2 pinches of black pepper, optional, and some salt. Got my little kiwis. So I'm sorry about that. I have now put my phone on to do not disturb because I had a phone call to interrupt all that. But let me just show you. So before I turn it on, here we've got, if you can see, we've got our eggs and salt. So, and now putting the mixing bowl lid on, and we're going to turn that to speed 4, but whilst we do that, we've got our pre-measured oil, so we're going to very slowly just pour it onto the lid, and as the screen says, we're just going to let the oil trickle into the mixing bowl to emulsify. I'll just switch it back so I can see how long I've got to go. Another minute. Show you. See if I can do 2 things at once. Oh, see it. Looking around up there. 16 more seconds. As they pour that oil. And we're done. So transfer that into a dish. It's a little bit oily. How cool is that? Freshly made mayonnaise. So I'm just going to scrape that back into the same bowl because we're about to use it in our next recipe. But if you weren't about to use it all in your next recipe, you can put it into a jar and put it into your fridge. And you've got completely fresh, homemade, flavoured to your personal preferences mayonnaise. Okay, now we're going to go back to my week. We've got baked artichoke dip. So preheat the oven, which I've already done. Add 140 grams of Parmesan cheese and 1 garlic clove. Put the mixing bowl lid on and just mix that up. My oily lid, save on the dishes. scrape down sides of bowl and add your mayonnaise. So, perfect amount of mayonnaise. It's like they knew. And just scraping down the Parmesan cheese and the garlic. $200 of marinated artichoke hearts. Which I have that. So. There we go. And ready. Put the lid back on in 3 seconds. Transfer into a dish and bake for 30 minutes on 180 until golden, and serve it hot. So that is our dip mix in there. Doesn't look like much yet, but I can show you. Made this one yesterday, and you end up with a super delicious baked artichoke, in my case garlicky dip that you can put with crackers or put on a serving plate, anything like that. Just pour out a little bit so then you can see how it goes into the bowl. And one of the tips is that if once you've baked it, it does have a bit much oil sitting on top. I mean, it's full of oil obviously from the mayonnaise and again from the Parmesan. Just dab a little bit with some paper towel before you serve it, and then you'll be right. Thank you very much for watching.
Yum, that looks really good. I'm sure you enjoyed eating that today, Alex. We are just going to go to Penny now to show us the result of those beautiful turkey roulades.
Okay, so they have finished and they've been resting for 5 minutes. So I'm just going to unwrap one. So the instructions say to pop them high. Can you just give me 2 minutes?
Okay.
Okay.
That's off.
It is off. So I'm just going to unroll one and I'll slice it up. So you can pop these in the fry pan and just fry them a little bit to make them golden brown on the outside if you would like. This one's probably not the greatest example because it's a tiny one. Remember I said at the beginning the steaks were all different sizes? This one's the smallest. And my stuffing exploded. But I'm just going to slice it. And they're probably better in the fridge because this one has exploded. And they're really hot. This was not a great example, unfortunately. I might just leave the rest of them in the fridge, and can we come back, Laura, and see what the others look like? Because this one is clearly way too thin. And
Yep, no problem at all. I have done this. I've done this hot and cold, and I think hot. I used a serrated knife, and I was so careful when I sliced it. But yeah, cold is probably easier to slice. We are going to go back to Nat, who's in the middle of our beautiful white chocolate. Nope, Nat's not ready for the hot chocolate yet. She needs 2 more minutes. And 2 minutes is a great amount of time for me to show you what our promotions are for July. So anyone who wants to invest in a Thermomix in July can get this beautiful oval shaped thermo server, which is 2.5 litres. Our thermo servers, for those who aren't aware yet, are our beautiful serving dishes that keep our food hot or cold for a couple of hours. So they are just super handy to have. We have round ones, mini ones, and then our oval one. I think the oval one is my favorite to use. It's just a really handy shape and design for serving whenever I'm having guests or cooking noodles in them or whatever you need to do with your server. Tomorrow when I send the email out to you all, I'll also include a link with different ideas of how of what you can do with your thermo server. And I'm also going to just put you over to Kat. I haven't given her much notice, but Kat is going to show you our festive flavour book, which is also part of July's promotion. So there's 2 gifts this month.
Hey guys. So this, I might have to, it's disappearing. I might need to turn my background off. There we go. So this is the Festive Flavors Cookbook, and it is such a beautiful book. I've made a couple of the recipes from this one. I'm going to turn my background off so I don't disappear on you. The wonders of Zoom. There we go. So there's some really good recipes in here. My favorite is the gingerbread pavlova stack, which is amazing and gets rave reviews. Here we go. So that's actually got ginger folded through the meringues, and then it's got banana and a caramel sauce. It's very decadent. And you can actually put some fresh nectarines or peaches when you've got the nice summer stone fruits out. But it's also good just with the cream and the banana and the caramel. And they've got a few versions in there as well, like the berry stack, and I think there's just a traditional strawberry. But lots of other little goodies in there. What have we got? These are peanut soba noodle wonton cups. So there's a soba peanut noodle salad. So you can make that, and then you can put it into these little wonton cups. I made this for my mother-in-law when she was visiting, and she thought I was so fancy. It was great. And then another favorite in here, which a few of you have probably seen, you can do the whole steamed chicken. So this is really good. You can rub it with these really tasty spices. You can pop it into the oven if you want to brown the skin up a little bit, but while it's cooking, all of those juices are going straight into your bowl. So it's really easy to make a quick gravy. And one other one I just have to show you, espresso martinis. Who wouldn't like some cocktails while you're celebrating? Yeah, there's so many really beautiful recipes in here, but those are a couple of my favorites. So definitely one of my favorites.
Thanks for sharing, Kat. And in the beginning of the book too, there's some different guides to help you plan for Christmas, which is handy as well. All right, I'm pretty sure Nat will be ready. Okay, she's giving me the thumbs up. Sorry about that earlier.
Hi, sorry it took a bit longer. So I've melted all the chocolate. And now I need to add in 80 grams of Turkish Delight cut into little cubes. It would help if I showed the Thermomix and not my face, hey? So I'm going to put in 80 grams of Turkish Delight. And then 50 grams of marshmallows. And 20 grams of coconut. You cannot help. And then the apricots and nuts that we did earlier goes in. I bought the chocolate. You need to go away now. Thanks. Okay, and so we're just going to mix this up for 15 seconds, reverse blade, until it's all combined. Now we get the big mixing bowl. We pop it on top. And then we weigh in the rice bubbles. Now comes the messy part where I mix it all together.
Smooth this down. So I've got my rice bubbles, and in comes the yummy chocolate mix. And now the problem I found this morning with it being such cold weather is that even though the chocolate melts, it goes hard really quickly. So I have to try and work quickly with this. There. I'm just gonna mix it in, try not to make too much of a mess. Anyone that knows me and seen me cooking, I'm not a neat cooker. I make a mess everywhere I go. But that's the fun of making these yummy treats. And as you can see, my daughter is here and she cannot wait to try some of this.
Yay!
Yeah.
Chocolate. I want chocolate. Where's the chocolate?
I bribed my kids so they could stay up and watch TV for half an hour if they leave Mummy alone to do her cooking. And as you can see, they listen so well. Okay. So that's all mixed together pretty nicely. And then we just pop it into the tin. I'm just going to move my Thermomix out of the way.
Mom, can I help do that?
No, you cannot help do that.
Please?
No.
Please?
It doesn't matter how much you say please, it's still a no.
Do it.
Okay.
Like skipping things.
It's yours like this. No.
I like making this. Just give me this and mine. This is mine.
There you go. Chocolate's stuck, and I've got a 7-year-old that doesn't like toast.
Yay. Can I help?
No. Oh, wait. And then we just like press it down and smooth it. I'm doing this one really rough. I'll finish that off in a second. Now, fast forward 2 hours, and I've popped it in the fridge. And look at that, fast forward 2 hours. I haven't cut it up yet, but see my magic, I can work in the kitchen. Now, the other thing is, look at this bowl. It's disgusting. The chocolate's so hard. So, I'm just going to show you what I did this morning. I put in a litre of water. I put in a drop of dishwashing liquid. And I put my pre-clean on.
Chocolate.
And it cleaned it in no time at all. It was so easy to clean after the pre-clean. So, and as much as I love my pre-clean, I actually don't use it that often. But this morning I was like, oh my God, how am I going to get all that chocolate off? And I went, oh, pre-clean. And that's what I did. And it just came off. It was like really easy. I could have just wiped it out with a chuck's cloth. That's how easy it came off. So there's the white Christmas. I'm going to go and get my children to bed. I hope you all enjoyed that. And I'll give you back to Laura. See ya.
Thanks, Nat. It looks good. And as you can all see, us consultants are all just real people in our own kitchens with, and some of us have little kids who want to come and help as well, which is great. I just wanted to show you before I show you the last dish, the other promotion we have in July at the moment. So the server and the festive book was for anyone who is purchasing a Thermomix this month, and they're just free gifts. We always have a few different host reward options available, but just in July there's an extra one, which is our Meter Plus. It's not made by Forwerk, it's just Thermomix like to help people get great results in the kitchen, so they've partnered up with the Meter Plus. It's a temperature probe that you put into roasts, steaks, chops, chicken breasts or thighs or whatever, anything, fish as well. You can use it in the oven, Varoma, or on the barbecue. or yeah, even in your Thermomix. And it works with the app on your phone. I think my screen's too bright. Hang on. Turn that down so you can see it. And it shows you all along the way the temperature of what you're cooking. It gives the external temperature, the internal temperature, and when you set up your cook, you just tell it what you're cooking and it will tell you how long, and it'll give you the resting time. So it's like absolute perfect results every single time. So just wanted to show you that. And I'm going to turn on, here's one I prepared earlier because this dish that I made, I wanted to present to you all, takes 2 hours total time. So thankfully in virtual classes, I can speed that up for you, which we can't do when it's live. So here we go, and this is me making this spiced cherry brioche.
Hey, I'm going to show you now how to make this spiced cherry brioche wreath, which is just super impressive any time of the year, but you know, it's great for Christmas in July or Christmas, the real Christmas as well. I am using guided cooking, so I've got it up here on my TM6 screen, so I'll just press start. Actually, oh, it's telling me to line a tray. I'll do that later, that's fine. I've read through the recipe, and one of the ingredients is icing sugar, and I don't have icing sugar, I don't buy that. So the first thing I'm going to do while my bowl is nice and clean and dry is add in some raw sugar. And it's not a specific amount because it's to dust at the end. It's the last touch, it's dusting a little icing sugar over the top. So I'm going to make the icing sugar first. So I've just put in a handful, I guess, and I am going to mill that on speed 10 for about 10 seconds. Okay, that's done. Waiting for the arms to open. So what was that, 9 seconds, and I can tell that that's nicely powdered. I'm just going to set this aside so that at the end I have some icing sugar to dust on the top. I probably did a bit more than what I need, but that's okay. Always find out leftovers. Now, in this recipe, the very first step is adding in sugar anyway for our dough. So I'm not going to bother cleaning my bowl. There's just a bit of sugar left in there. But you can see how nicely the Thermomix has milled that raw sugar into a nice powdered sugar to use at the end. So back into my recipe by pressing the bookmark. So you can go out of your recipe anytime and back into it as needed. So I'm just going to bring this forward so you can see what I'm doing. So now it's asking for sugar. I'm just using the raw sugar. What I love about the scales, they're in 1 gram increments, but it means you don't have to get out measure cups. So you can just grab your container straight out of the pantry and pour in a little bit of sugar. And now it's going to ask for the milk, which I have here. Perfect. And so in guided cooking, you just do what it says and press next. So it's asking for yeast. I don't use fresh yeast. I just use the dried instant yeast that you can get in the supermarket, and I store it in the freezer so that it stays alive, stays nice and active. Okay, it's telling me to put the lid on. So that just goes on top, just sits on. Doesn't matter where this bit ends up. Next, and I'm going to turn the dial to speed 2. So you may notice this is set for 2 minutes on 30 to 7 degrees, speed 2. So the temperature control is really great in the Thermomix because it can do things like activating your yeast and reheating certain things, fermenting to make yogurt, tempering chocolate, cooking milk, professional sauce or custard, you know, at speed 80 or 90, at temperature 80 or 90, sorry, and up to 100 for cooking your dinners. We've got a special steaming temperature, which is called aroma, and then we have our high heat mode, which you can use for caramelization and sugar works, things like that, and really browning your meat. That's what we want to do. So I'll show you when this is done. Okay, that has finished. And so, I mean, it's not really worth showing you. There's not much to see, but it's just that the milk has been mixed in with the yeast and it was all bubbling up nicely. It smells very yeastish. Oh, it tells me to scrape down the sides. There isn't really much to scrape. Sometimes the recipes are being cautious with that. So now we're adding in some butter, which you can make in your Thermomix if you wish to, just using cream. A teaspoon of salt. So I just use, I buy Himalayan rock salt. So this is a half teaspoon, that's why I'm doing it twice. I buy Himalayan rock salt and then I mill it myself in the Thermomix to make powdered cooking salt. So that's something else you can do in your Thermomix. And I've got 650 grams of baker's flour here that I weighed out a minute ago. Hopefully it's right. Oh, yep, good. Baker's flour, if you don't have baker's flour, you can use plain flour to make breads. You will have a different result. The baker's flour has more protein, more gluten. It's a bit stronger, better for a bread rather than a cake, which you would use normal plain flour for. But if plain's all you have, still do your baking because it's still going to be pretty good. Okay, an egg going in. And now the lid goes on. So it's asking me to mix on speed 7 for 10 seconds. Just doing that initial combine, and then I'll show you the dough mode, which will knead the dough for us. So it's asking me to scrape down and then put the lid back on, and you can see the symbol there for the dough mode. Just going to get anything that came up onto the lid back in there. There isn't really, you don't need to scrape it too much because the dough mode is going to gather. The dough mode will gather everything in it anyway. So this dough is going to knead for 3 minutes. Whenever the dough uses milk or yogurt, like a sweet kind of brioche or hot cross bun type dough, it usually lasts for 3 minutes of kneading, whereas your basic dough that is for pizza or bread or something like that, you only need to knead that for 2 minutes, which is the same as 20 minutes of hand kneading, so it definitely saves a lot of time. And I'll show you what it looks like after it's been kneaded for 3 minutes. I'm going to show you what it looks like while it's kneading because it's pretty cool. The dough makes the speed go, it's around speed 3, but it's more of a stronger push, and you can see it's going backwards and stopping and then forwards and stopping, and it's a pretty cool function of the dough. Okay, so that is ready. I am going to, I better follow the instructions. So it's saying to transfer into a bowl. I'm going to use my mat. This is the thermo mat that you can get from the mix shop. It's also one of our host rewards. The dough is nicely kneaded. I'm going to flip that upside down and use the base of the blades to twist and get that dough out of the bowl, and it should all just fall out. So it's done a pretty good job. There's just a little bit in there I am going to grab. It's better if I can see it. Just, I mean, obviously be careful when you're putting your hand in there because the blades are fairly sharp, but so that's not a job for a child to do, putting your hand in, but usually the dough just comes out. But you can see here this beautiful, sweet dough texture. I'm just going to roll it into kind of a ball shape. It doesn't matter too much what you do here because we're just going to set it aside to rise, and after about an hour it will be ready to shape. In the meantime, I'm going to put some cold water in my bowl and whiz that around on speed 10 for a few seconds, and that will help clean all the dough out of my bowl. And as far as wrapping in my mat goes, you could put it in a bowl, as the recipe said. I find the mat rises doughs really nicely because of that silicone, and on the inside of the silicone is fiberglass, which is going to trap in the heat of the dough. Remember, we heated up the milk to 37 degrees, so it's already a nice warm temperature in the dough, and the mat just traps in that heat, so it rises really nicely in there. So we will come back in an hour. Okay, I am back, and this dough has been rising. I don't know if you can tell, it's about to pop out of the mat, and I'm just going to carry on with what the recipe is telling me to do. So now it's asking me to add this mix. I've already got it ready here, so you can see what I have. I've got the sugar, so it's asking for sugar, nutmeg, cardamom, cinnamon, star anise, and cloves. So, and then it's telling me to put the lid on. So I will just put all that in. Okay, pop the lid on, and it's 20 seconds on speed 9. So obviously need that 20 seconds to do the cinnamon quill. If it's not all the way done after that, I will just do it longer, which is fine. So I'll do that. Okay, that's been 20 seconds. I'll just show you what it looks like and see if we need to do longer. No, that, oh my goodness, that smells so good. And that looks perfect. So transfer 3 tablespoons into a small bowl. I'm just going to grab another small bowl because I forgot about that. So this is to sprinkle on at the end. So setting aside 3 tablespoons. How good does that look? Perfect. And then we want to transfer this into another bowl. I've just got a little bowl. It's the same bowl I had it in. So to make sure I don't spill any, I'm going to use my lid. I just took out the measure cup. I'm going to use my lid as a funnel to pour it all in there, so I don't make a mess all over the bench, which I'm always likely to do. I'm just scraping down the sides of my bowl with my spatula. Okay, I don't want to waste any of this. It's so good. I should mention as well, the recipe asks for 130 grams of sugar. I did reduce that a bit. I often reduce sugar when I know it's just my family eating it. If I was making this to take out, I probably wouldn't worry as much. So there we have that, which we're going to use in a second. Preheat oven. I just did that before I pressed to record again. Okay, here's where we're going to set the Thermomix aside. And it's telling me to get my silicone bread mat ready, or my whatever work surface you're using. And we are going to shape this into a ball. It looks so good, and it's so soft. What a great dough. You can see the silicone mat here is nice and non-stick, so it's very easy to work with. So I'm going to divide this into 2 equal portions. One thing to know with your Thermomat is not to cut on it. You don't want the silicone to be tearing, so I'm going to use my spatula to cut that. If you wanted it to be perfect, you could weigh each portion on the scales, on the Thermomix, obviously. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and feel with my hands. I think that's pretty good. So we're going to roll each portion out into a long rectangle, and it says, I don't know if you can see on the screen, it says 50 by 20. Now on this Thermomat we have a ruler here, so I can see 50. I'm just going to get my rolling pin, sorry. Forgot to have that ready. So yeah, this is probably a little bit boring to watch, but, and I don't often work with pastries, so I do a lot of scrolls. But because it's just for my family, I've never really made sure it looks perfect in any way. So I wouldn't be any more practiced at this than any of you. So if you can see that I'm doing it well, I would say that you can do it too. Give it a go. I think once you've seen someone do it, you're more confident to be able to do it yourself. So that's my aim today, is for all of you to try something fancy like this and see how you go with it. So I have rulers up the side. I want it to be about 20. So I'm going to try and get this a bit more wider. But it's already 50 centimeters long, so I just want it to be a little bit wider. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. And I'm just going to do that to the other side. I find it easier if I just pull it with my hands a bit first. And the mat is 40 long, so I need to fill up the rest of the space quite well. And my mix is a little bit in the way. And yeah, don't stress about making it too perfect, because once it's all rolled into the wreath, you won't notice too much. So yeah, it's looking good. You can see now that I've done this one a little bit bigger. And because I've got an audience, I'm trying to be faster. So if you're a perfectionist, just take your time, obviously. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I'd say that that's good enough. I've got my 2 rough kind of rectangles here. Great. So now it's telling me to divide the larger portion of the reserved spice mix evenly between the 2 rectangles of dough. So I've got this, and it's the picture there is handy as well. I don't know, could you see that? There's a picture here showing me exactly what it wants me to do, which is good. So this spice mix is going all along. Oh my goodness, it smells so good. And try and get it evenly without stressing too much. This is the type of spice mix you could make and just put in things as well. Like if you're making muffins or cakes or custard, even if you wanted to make a kind of festive flavored custard. Okay, and now it's asking me for our cranberries, which I already weighed. So I've just got dried cranberries. I always keep these in the cupboard. We love them. Actually, most of the time when a recipe asks for sultanas, we all prefer cranberries, so I usually sub it out for cranberries, but especially at Christmas or Easter, it's really nice to make hot cross buns with, or you know, Christmas time. Things like this. That's looking pretty good. And then it's going to ask for the cherries. Now the cherries, even in summer, sometimes I still buy these jarred cherries. I just kept the jar to show you. It's in the fruit section at the supermarket. I get the pitted Morello cherries. You can use fresh if that's what you have, but even when they are in season, I do find these a lot easier to cook with, obviously because you don't have to take out the stems or the pits. So we kind of save the fresh cherries just for us to eat in this type of thing, because you're baking it anyway. I don't find fresh to have that much more of a benefit than buying the jarred ones. So personal preference, I would say. And I'm just making sure I'm doing this a little bit evenly so that each bite gets a cherry or 2. I think you can agree with me, that's looking pretty yummy. Okay, next is our flaked almonds, just from the baking aisle where all the other baking kind of nuts are. And these just go over the top. And if you have an allergy to nuts or don't want the crunch in there, like if you just are after a different kind of flavour, you can just leave the nuts out and it's still going to be really good. but I really love the flavour that these flaked almonds put in there. I think it adds a really nice dimension. So now it's telling me, and again, there's a really handy picture here. Use your hands to gently roll the rectangle of dough into a long sausage shape to enclose the filling. So just peeling it off the mat and gently rolling. So that was pretty easy. All these things seem fiddly and they look like they might be challenging until you actually give it a go, and then you realise, oh, that was actually easy. Okay, so I have my 2 sausage shapes here, and then the next step is to fold, and again, there's a nice picture showing you how to do it. It's just twisting them together. So I'm going to roll this over so that they're next door to each other. Along the way, I've had one of the cherries fall out, so I'm just going to pop that back in. I think it would have been easier if I sealed off the ends first before I rolled them. It's not that big of a deal though. Okay, sealing those ends there. And I am going to start crossing them over, just twisting them really. This is probably the part that might need some practice, but I am happy with that. Looks very pretty. And so now we have a little plait and we're going to bring it together. You can kind of twist it more as you bring it around if you want. And now I have my wreath. So I've got I'm using a pizza tray. You could just put this on a rectangle tray, but since it was going to be round, I decided for the pizza tray. And you can see my very well loved oven baking mat. I use that all the time. So I'm just going to transfer the wreath over there, which shouldn't be too hard. It's a really nice non-stick dough to work with, actually. I'm a little bit conscious that where my joins meet isn't very pretty. But once it's baked and risen, I think it will still be, I think that will be okay. I think it looks quite good, actually. Rotate it so you can see. Yeah, it's kind of pretty. So now I am going to brush with melted butter and some extra cherries and almonds. Yeah, just making sure I'm following the recipe correctly. Cherries, almonds. Okay, I haven't organized my melted butter yet, so I'm going to go get some butter and melt it. Okay, I've just melted my butter. And I'm just going to brush that over the top. And this is going to help the topping stick on it, but it's also going to help brown it up so it's nice and golden. Should probably lift that up to make it easier. Okay. Lovely, very nice. And so now it's saying top with some extra cherries, which you can just place strategically around wherever you desire. You could probably poke them in to the dough if you wanted them to definitely stay right where you need them. But yeah, it doesn't matter, obviously. Just a bit of nice decoration. Where am I going to put this? Okay, it's probably good. No one over here. Kind of folding it in the dough a bit. Yeah, might be overthinking that a little. Anyway, that looks good. And I will get some of these almonds. And they look very pretty on top. That kind of also helps hide the joint where I had the two ends meeting. Now the last step is to dust with, remember we set aside 3 tablespoons of the spice mixture. So I'm just going to dust with that. There we go. Just using a sieve. If you don't have anything like this, well hopefully you do, most people do I guess, you can use a simmer basket I guess of your Thermomix. But, or just be really careful, just sprinkle with your fingers carefully. It is starting to work its way into the melted butter, but if I just keep going around, it's getting a beautiful coating everywhere. So pretty and smells delicious. And okay, I think that's enough on there, but I've still got some mixture. I'm just going to stop there though because I'm like, this is looking great. So now we bake it for half an hour until the brioche is golden. I will show you that step when it's done. Okay, I've just taken this out of the oven. It has been exactly half an hour and it's looking beautiful all the way around. Nice and brown. It smells really good. The next step is to let it cool, and we're going to, I mean, it looks great just the way it is, but after it's cooled down, we are actually going to top it with further little extras. So see you soon once it's cool. Okay, we have here our cooled brioche wreath, which is looking so beautiful. And I've just put it on my plate that I'm wanting to serve it on. And the last step is to garnish with extra cranberries. So I'm just sprinkling them around. They're not necessarily staying on actually, just to make it look a bit pretty. If you were taking this somewhere, I would take the extra garnish in a container and do it when you get there, because otherwise it's just balancing precariously on there. It's just for looks. So that's good. And the extra cherries. So here is where we've got the mixture of the baked cherries and then some of the fresh cherries. If you had real fresh cherries, here's where they would look particularly pretty. Just kind of putting them around. Even if they fall off, they're still going to look pretty on the plate, so don't worry about that. Yeah, it's looking very, very festive. And you could always have some extra so that once you cut it up, you could put extra on each person's serving, whatever works. But I think it's really looking beautiful and it smells so good. Yeah, really, really happy with that. And the last step is to dust it with some icing sugar. And remember that I made some icing sugar earlier. This they say to do just before you're serving, and I can imagine why, because icing sugar would start to dissolve in, but makes a pretty little coating that looks like snow, similar to if you're making a gingerbread house. You could do this at the end. And there we have it. So I want to hold it up without everything falling off. I'm sure you get the idea. I'm going to hold that down a bit. Lost a cherry just there. But there is our spiced cherry brioche wreath, ready to serve and looking beautiful. And I will cut into it. I'll stop the recording now, and when the class is live, I'll cut into it.
Okay, so hopefully you saw how we can make the brioche there, and I'll just show you. I've cut into it this afternoon so I can show you what's on in what it looks like on the inside. My kids had some afternoon tea when they got home, so they were super excited for that one. And I thought if you're going somewhere and needed to take your to dust your icing sugar at the very end, you could just put it in a spice container and dust it over at the end as well. So let's go to Yolanda. Probably needs to show us the result of her nuts. Where are you, Yolanda? I can't find you.
I'm here.
There you are. Sorry.
Here I am. So my tray is still a bit hot. I've just loosened up the nuts on the tray, but there's this beautiful tray. I wish you could smell the spices. It just smells fantastic, and they're crispy and golden. They'll last quite a few weeks in an airtight container, and they're a really great snack or a gift. Worth trying.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, we're going to go back to Penny now for the result of the turkey. Hopefully that's firmed up a bit, ready to show you all.
Okay, now before I cut the turkey, say good night, Granny and Grandpa.
Good night.
Okay, now off, go.
Oh,
Okay, sorry, we got sidetracked. Let's do a little helper. So this is a lot more firm now because it's been in the fridge. I think I may have overstuffed them slightly. And it certainly is easier to cut with a serrated knife. I don't know if you can see that.
Mom,
Hang on, buddy.
get off the door and I just jump.
Go on, ask Lucas. Okay. How's that? I may have bashed them too thin, perhaps. But they taste pretty good because I ate the last lot that looked terrible. So that's it.
Thanks, Penny. They look really good, actually. So that's the end of the dishes I wanted to show you, that we all wanted to present to you tonight. We hope you've gotten some great ideas for Christmas in July or Christmas in December, either way. I did just want to go through, I know not everyone in here already has a Thermomix, so I just wanted to go through a few other things for those who want to stay on. I'm going to give you a really quick cookie dough tutorial. About 5 minutes of that, and I am going to show you as well some of the Thermomix modes. And just for those interested, I'll go through the payment options for the Thermomix. The price of a Thermomix is $2,269. We have several great options. One of them is to earn it by becoming a consultant and sharing how great the Thermomix is with others in the community and with your family and friends. So that's a really great option. Another option is our Zip Money, which is 24 months interest free, works out to be less than $24 a week. So if you can figure out how much money you can save by having a Thermomix on your bench, you can just take care of that cost really well. We also have an option to spread it out over 3 months, or you can pay it upfront over a bank transfer, credit card, PayPal. So they're your payment options, and I already went through the promos. If you want any more information about any of that, please speak to your consultant or email me back tomorrow. I'll be sending out an email to you all with my contact details. You're welcome to get back in touch with me as well. Okay, I will just show you, for those who are unfamiliar with the TM6, I'm just going to bring you closer to the screen now. You saw us doing a lot of guided cooking tonight, so I just want to show you the manual mode. To do guided cooking, you swipe that way and cookie dough is up on the screen. So that's what we kind of looked at a lot tonight. This is the home screen. You've got your time here, your temperature, and your speed. So as you, whatever one is enlarged, you just move the dial over here and it will select it. And oh, I haven't got a bowl in, so that's not going to work. But the other great thing is when we keep swiping, we've got your scales here, which you've seen a lot tonight. We all love the scales so much, not having to use measure cup. Dough mode, which we saw. Turbo is a really quick burst, and that's the fastest the Thermomix goes. That's at 10,700 revs per minute. Pre-clean is what Nat was talking about, where you put in some water and it actually detects how messy the bowl is, and it says approximately 5 minutes, but that will come down. If it's not very messy, it'll only take 1 minute, and if it's really messy, like making the honeycomb, it actually goes up longer. So it's very intuitive, very smart. Our pre-clean mode, love that. We've got kettle mode, which is great because you can choose your temperature. So if you know, in a normal kettle, it's kind of just to 100, but if you're wanting to cook teas at 80 or reheat soup to 90 or whatever you want to do, you can do that on kettle mode. We have blend mode, slow cook, which is cool. It goes up to 8 hours and the blades don't move the whole time in slow cook. They kind of just come on every now and then. There's lots of recipes and information on how to use the slow cook mode there as well. Sous vide could take me a few minutes to explain, but basically it's where you have your bowl full of water and you've got your protein in a bag submerged in the water, and it's very specific. You can see the temperature control in sous vide mode is by 1 degree. So you can be really specific. You know, you could cook a steak for an hour on 65 degrees and it will be this beautiful rare steak. Anyway, there's lots of playing around with sous vide mode. If you want more information about that, just get back in touch. Ferment mode to make your yogurts, different things like that. Creme fraiche. And rice cooker mode is great to do the absorption method of rice. It's perfect rice every time. And then I'm going to swipe and you can see one more. This is our thicken mode for cooking sauces such as bechamel or hollandaise or custard. But I also wanted to show you this blank space. because that's the possibilities of the future. When we get software updates, which just come to the TM6 automatically when they're ready, there could be more modes coming in the future. So the latest to come were the thicken and the rice cooker mode. We also have different ways of organizing your recipes. So I've created these lists. So my kids can just come in here and go, oh, okay, I want to make something for breakfast, and they'll just go into the breakfast list and they'll find something that they want to cook. Just as an example. There are also saved collections. So I can show you an example. Festive flavor. This is our book that we're showcasing tonight. Oh, I just pressed the wrong button. Doesn't matter. So these are all the recipes in the festive flavor book that we used tonight. So yeah, you can do that as well. And you've also got the weekly planner there, which I haven't got anything in my weekly planner at the moment because I just canceled it all out, but it would be there. So that was a super quick crash course into the Thermomix. If you need to see more, please talk to your consultant. We've got plenty of other recordings and other opportunities coming up where we're doing more virtual classes in the future. Our next one is all around gut health next week. So that's going to be a great class to get along to as well. I am going to do a quick cookie dough tutorial now. Because cookie dough is awesome. Now this is our partner website with our Thermomix, so you would have seen this on our TM6 screen. TM5 users can also access this via the cook key. But basically you just come here and you start typing something in. So if you already know what you want to cook, such as beef stroganoff, you can just come here and type it in and the recipes come up. If you aren't sure what you want to cook, but you know you want to cook something that has chicken in it, you can just type chicken and all the chicken recipes come up. If you don't even know what you want to cook, but you have an idea that you want it to be something for Christmas, you could just type in Christmas and all your Christmas recipes come up. Or you could type vegan and all your vegan recipes will come up. Now I do just want to show you how the filters work, because this is cool to either narrow down your search or expand your search results. So you can choose which category you want to cook in. You can add other ingredients. You could add a tag such as you want something to be egg-free or whatever you want it to be. You could change the difficulty, the time, the portions, the ratings. The main one I want to get down to is the language and the country. So the default is always Australia. You can untick that to broaden your search. I usually tick English, but you don't have to do that. So now you can see we've got 1,000 chicken results, whereas before when it was just in the Aussie one, it was about 400. So just getting rid of the Australian filter has really broadened the amount of results that are coming up. Once you've chosen a recipe you want to cook, I'm going to show you another one of my favorite things about cookie dough is press these 3 dots on the recipe and you can organize it here. So you can either bookmark it, put it in your cook today, add it to a collection, and those are those collections I was showing you on my TM6 screen a second ago, or add it to your week. But my favorite is add to the shopping list. I've been doing this a lot lately. And I'll show you how that works. So once you've got recipes in your weekly planner, they all come up here. But the shopping list, you put your ingredients by category so that while you're shopping, everything for your week, there's no limit to how many recipes you want to cook in a week, and it puts them all in categories so that while you're shopping, all your dairy is together, your fruits together, your spices are together, and it's just really handy as you're going down the aisles. If you've already got something at home, just tick it off before you go. And then as you put it in the trolley, just tick it off. Because it works on your app, on your phone as well. So it all syncs together. So while you're in the shops, you could have your app open on your phone and you could be ticking off as you put in your trolley. But if you don't even want to go shopping, look at this button up here, order ingredients. this takes us and adds your whole shopping list into the Woolworths online shopping list. So you can do a click and collect or an online delivery. And it automatically chooses which ingredients you want based on your shopping list, but you can swap them out. So say, for example, you want a different brand of butter, you just swap this out for the brand that you prefer to use. So yeah, just as an example. So I had the cherry brioche in my shopping list, and it's given me frozen cherries. If I actually wanted to get the Morello cherries, I would type that in and choose that. So you can change it all around, and then this will take you straight to Woolworths online. So that is a really quick crash course in Cookie Do. Again, if you want more info about that, let your consultant know or let me know. I did want it to keep it quick tonight because we're getting to 9 o'clock. But yes, thank you all so much for coming online tonight. We hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you have a really great July, for Christmas in July. And if you have further questions about absolutely anything, please don't be shy to get in touch. I know I'm not just speaking for myself, but all consultants. We absolutely love hearing from our customers, and it's never a hassle. Like, don't feel like you're hassling us with a stupid question. It's never the case. We just love talking about the Thermomix. So yes, thank you all so much. And if you have other questions, I know there've been some questions in the chat. If you have anything else you want to ask a question about, I'll just stay on for a little bit and make sure you can feel free to come off mute or write it in the chat, and I'll be able to answer those questions for you as well. And thank you all for your comments and your thank yous in the chat. It makes us feel nice that we're not just talking to empty kitchens. So yeah, really great that you were all able to join us this evening.